Hi there. How's it going? It's me again. Hope you don't mind. I hope everybody's having a good time. I'm going to do a brief ramble. Again, this is going to be a comic book related, but there's some gaming stuff, so bear that in mind. Now, I have been reading a lot of back issues lately. I kind of enjoy reading comics from when I fell in love with comics. 70s, 80s, early 90s. A lot of the indie stuff, and just, some of the stuff that maybe doesn't get rehashed over and over and over again, right? It's really the place I concentrate most of my collecting these days when it comes to comics. It's cheaper and hard to find in digital format, and honestly, it's the comics that I fell in love with, so, it's all good. One of the comics I used to love, and I recently found a fairly good stash of them, was Starman. Now, you're thinking, well, some of you who are big comic nerds will be thinking Starman, James Robinson Starman, which he had a long and very prestigious run, and well-deserved respect for that. And this is basically the son of the original Starman in the Justice Society, trying to make his way in life while, also being Starman, and it's kind of a thing. There's a lot of, father and son relationships and generational stuff, and guy trying to find his way in life and all of that. And that's great, and I like that too, don't get me wrong. But when I'm talking about Starman, I'm talking about Will Payton. Now, some of you will remember this character, but I'm willing to bet a lot of people who have only a cursory relationship with comics will remember the character at all. Will Payton was a Starman that came about around the time of the Invasion storyline in DC Comics. And one of the things I liked about him about that comic was it was a new hero finding his way in life. His powers were in no way related to the previous Starman. His origin story is he was out camping one day and got hit by a beam of energy that was intended to be used to create superpowered beings that were being created by this secret group that wanted to make their own superpowered beings, and he ended up getting it by accident, and it turned him into a living star, which is to say that his insides became a living fusion reactor, and he became super powerful. He was strong, he was tough, he could alter his form a little bit. He could change his facial features if he wanted to, so it was relatively easy to maintain a secret identity. But the thing I enjoyed about this story was it was him trying to figure it out. And so we have seen the origin story of Spider-Man so many times. In animation, they've redone it in the comics over and over and over again. And we all know the story, the Uncle Ben, the spider and everything, and him trying to figure it out. And so it becomes a little old hat. You see it the same thing with Clark Kent and Superman, there's only so many times you can retell that same story. What you don't get as much these days, because, well, frankly, they don't make a lot of new characters, is a new character trying to figure out his way as a superhero. You see a few examples. Runaways was a series about a bunch of new characters. They were kids trying to figure out what they were going to do, and turns out unfortunate things involving their parents. I won't spoil it for you, but it's a good read. And there are a few others along those lines. Young Avengers did this, and a couple others, where it was new characters, or new-ish characters, who you haven't seen go through that origin story and what have you. Well, Starman did this in the era of the Invasion storyline. This is also around the same time as Death in the Family, when Jason Todd got killed by the Joker. He comes back later, but there was a whole, people voted for it and a whole 9 yards. But during this time frame is what I'm talking about. And this was a guy who newly into his powers, trying to figure out what he's supposed to do, trying to figure out what it all means. And I really enjoyed that story. It always kind of stuck with me. So finding the issues of it made me happy. And so, that was something that stuck with me. And here's the gaming thing on it. So, lots of people love doing superhero games. I love superhero games. One of the most difficult parts of a superhero game is doing an origin story. A lot of people jump past that point. They either, they're already established heroes, or, you do the fate model of, you guys establish what your history is together and what kind of adventures you went off together before the game starts. But one of the things that I would often end up running into with, say, Running Champions and some other superhero games over the years, is a bunch of people getting their powers and trying to figure out what they're supposed to do with them. And there's some compelling story to be found there. It's hard to do sometimes, because some people will come in with certain assumptions about, we're going to be superheroes. Obviously, superhero game, we have superpowers, we're going to be superheroes. And then there are some people who don't. And this can sometimes cause some interesting party conflict, as long as it's not more conflict than interesting. I actually don't mind that. But I think that one of the things that is interesting and compelling about running your own superhero game is taking characters who are not established, who are new, who are untested, who just became superpowered, and having them discover who they are and what their relationship with their power, with the world is, now that they have that power. I think I don't see a lot of games focus on this as much anymore. The most recent Marvel Superheroes game, which is a good game, don't get me wrong, I like it, it's a good game. One of the complaints I did have with it was that it didn't really give you rules for creating new characters, it gave you rules for converting characters from the comics that already existed. Now, you could adapt those rules to make a new character. But the point being is there was no guidance for making somebody who's new, who has no idea what's going on. It was, you're going to play the established characters that everybody knows. And that kind of bugged me. Don't get me wrong, good game. But that was one thing that stuck out for me. Some of the other games go with more of a fate narrative model of, you all have past histories together, and you're already awesome characters, and you're already heroes, and which is great. Don't get me wrong, that can be fun. But in the process of that, it becomes harder to sort of stake your claim as a new character. So it's something to think about when you're running superhero games. Can you do that conflict? Can you do that story? Will it jump the rails? Because sometimes it does. Sometimes it jumps the rails bad. Nothing worse than a bunch of superpowered guys with no conscience. Because that's no fun. That gets old real quick. But yeah, it's something to think about. Anyway. It's just my quick ramble about, quick being relative term there, about superhero games, and one of my favorite things in comics that we don't see as often in comics either. And I'd like to see more of. But anyway, Subscribe, like, share with all the people. Thanks for watching. And tell me what you think. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think about the idea of playing new characters with who are just trying to figure out what they are. Anyway, see ya.